We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Taittriya Upanishad, Shankara Bashyam. We are in the 8th Anuvaka, and this Upanishad is extremely famous amongst the seekers because it gives us a direct knowledge about our higher nature, which is known only through the Upanishads. The knowledge which is given out here is that my nature is pure consciousness. When I say pure consciousness, it means I exist without the perception of the body, mind, or the world. All of us experience this in our sleep state. Normally, we say, I went to sleep. Nobody says, I was in my original nature. That is the difference between a jnani and a ajnani. Jnani will say in his own mind, I was in my own self. For whatever time he slept, he will say, I was with my own self. The body went to sleep. I didn't sleep. Body went to sleep. I was experiencing my own self. This is the ultimate teaching. But many of us, we are not able to reach that level because of obstacles in our mind, in the form of doubts. So the first step in our seeker's journey is to listen to the scriptures. After we listen to the scriptures, doubts are natural. Second time, when we do the listening of the scriptures, we can arrive at the central teaching of the Upanishads. In the first time, when you listen, you don't get the teaching. But when you listen again, and when you ponder over the teaching in your own mind, which is called as mananam, then what happens is there is more clarity in the knowledge. And the last step is to say, I am not this body mind, I am that pure Chaitanya. So there are 3 steps: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. Now, this has been said in the Upanishad, Brahadanika Upanishad. A step-by-step guidance is given by the Guru in that Upanishad, Yajnavalkya, to his wife, who is a student in that Upanishad. So all of us, we have to keep this at the back of our mind. First, listen. Second, contemplate. Third, own up the teaching. Claim the teaching as my real nature. Today, we are going to discuss one aspect of the higher nature, which is called as Ananda. The definition of Atma given at the beginning of this Upanishad is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Anantam sometimes is taken as Ananda, bliss. So in the 8th Anuvaka, 8th section, the entire 12 mantras are devoted to this aspect of Ananda. I started this discussion last week. Today we will continue the discussion from where we stopped. We stopped in this slide 901. So what is the inquiry about this Ananda, this happiness? Normally, the happiness which we experience in the world is born out of the sense objects. Whenever the sense objects are around us, we feel happy because we are enjoying the sense objects. Suppose I taste a good dish. Because of the contact of the tongue with the dishes, I feel happy. This is called as experiential joy. There is another joy which I don't know. It is only revealed by the Upanishads. It is called as Brahmananda. Brahmananda means it is the joy which is in my intrinsic nature. You will realize this only when you reach the ultimate Atma, which is a clear understanding of the Upanishads. What is the main difference between the two? One is experiential, the second is non-experiential. One is anityam. Anityam means it is temporary. Experiential joy is temporary. It is there as long as the conditions are there. Conducive conditions are there. What about the non-experiential joy? It is always my intrinsic nature. A third difference is there are grades of experiential joy, but there are no grades in non-experiential or Atma Ananda. Your Atma Ananda, my Atma Ananda is the same. When you experience your Ananda, Atma Ananda, you will have the same type of experience or joy like if I were to experience the same. There is no arrival or departure of Atma Ananda, whereas there is arrival and departure of sense objects and the sense pleasures. So that is mentioned in the that is the description of the previous section. In the next section, Shankaracharya says, now we will enter the discussion about sense pleasures which are born out of the body-mind's complex and the external objects. What is the maximum joy which we can get? What is the maximum experiential pleasures which we can get? In order to understand the maximum pleasures or the joy of the objects, it is compared to the intrinsic nature of our happiness. We are going to compare both. That is the purpose of our study going forward in the 8th section. Experiential Ananda is Pratibimba Ananda. What do you mean by Pratibimba Ananda? Pratibimba means it is reflected joy. Whenever, see, this is a thesis of the Upanishads. You don't find this anywhere else. Nowhere else you will study this type of analysis of happiness. Generally, people ask, they conduct a survey, are you happy, not happy? That they will publish in the newspapers. Because I have a house, I have money, I have relationships, I am happy. So those are all external joys. But Atma Ananda, you will only get this information, only you will get the knowledge of this only from the Upanishads. There is no other place. And the Upanishad says that my intrinsic nature is joy, that is called as Bimba Ananda, like seeing your original face. I can never see the original face, but I can see the reflected face in my mirror, in the mirror. Similarly, I can never know the original Ananda, or that is why we say I can never experience the original Ananda, but I can only know the original Ananda through the Upanishads. What I get, the joy which I get experience is reflected in the mind. Suppose the surrounding is not so good. Suppose you are in the middle of some painful circumstances, then there is no joy. That is what the Upanishad is saying. But your Atma Ananda always remains, whether you know it or you don't know it. A Jnani or a Jnani, both of them, the Ananda, Atma Ananda is the same. The only thing is, a Jnani knows the difference between the two, which we have seen just now. Now, what is the comparison which is done? The comparison in these 12 verses, you will find the comparison which is done is Shrotriyasya akamatasya. What is the meaning of Shrotriyasya? Shrotriya means a person who has got the knowledge of the scriptures. That is the first definition, Shrotriyasya. Akamatasya means what? A person who has the knowledge of the scriptures will have eliminated his desires in the mind. He is contented in the mind with whatever he has. So this contentment comes out of vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion towards the sense objects. So a jnani is a shrotriya and he has eliminated desires for the sense objects because he has done discrimination, viveka. So his mind has got the viveka shakti. His joy is compared to the person who is enjoying in the world. That is how the whole Upanishad moves in these 12 mantras. In the next section, Shankaracharya says that the worldly sense pleasure is only a trickle. It is only an infinitesimal small portion of Brahmananda. See, these are all the truths which Shankaracharya has gained from the study of Upanishads. He is telling us that this is the truth. All of us, we have to be a scientist. We have to check this out for ourselves. Is my joy, which I feel, is it permanent or is it only temporary? 3 years ago, I bought a car. At that time, when I bought a car, I was jumping with joy because I didn't have a car before. But that was only temporary. Take any joy which you experience in this world, whether you get married, whether you have children, whether you have buy a house, whether you have done a PhD, whatever joy you get, they are all fleeting. That is the main thing which we have to understand from this whole section. As students of Vedanta, we have to understand that the world gives us fleeting joy. The world does not give us permanent joy. Therefore, I have to be aware of this. When the human ignorance is dominant, that means what? When I don't know my Swarupam or intrinsic nature is Atma, that Ananda, that happiness gets distorted. It gets concealed because I am always extrovert in life. Suppose you come to the study of Vedanta and you learn a little bit of meditation, which we do on Sunday sessions, and you start enjoying the pleasures of withdrawing your mind. Then what happens? That Atma Ananda starts trickling down in your own mind, and you are able to experience Shanti, peace. According to Vedanta, unless until your mind is not agitated, it is peaceful, then only you can enjoy the happiness. This is a very, very important point in the psychology of happiness. So the first thing, if you're a psychologist, is you have to explain to the patients that you need to reduce the number of thoughts in your mind. Whatever you need to do, what you have to do is you have to reduce certain activities which will reduce the amount of fluctuations in your mind. That is the psychology behind this happiness. If you come to Vedanta, you can try it out, it will work. Many people have come back to me and said, yes, what you say is true. Veda is right. So this fluctuation of sense pleasures in the world, why do they fluctuate for me? That is the question Shankaracharya is asking in this section. In this particular point here, in this paragraph, he is asking, why do the fluctuations of sense pleasures happen to all of us? The reason he gives here is, it is because of punya karma. Punya karma means, suppose you have done some good activities in this life or the previous life, your happiness is decided by those actions. Punya karma will result in peaceful mental balance. And that will have an impact on the happiness which you enjoy. And the sense objects around you today, for example, how come you are sitting in London and enjoying life, whereas somebody is in other parts of the world, they are not able to enjoy? It is because of punya karma. Punya karma is adrishtam. Adrishtam means it is not seen, it is there. That is what is called as sanchita karma. That is what is called as the causal body. So in our causal body, in which we are, when we go to sleep, we are inside our causal body. In that causal body, there is a reflection of Ananda, Atma Ananda. So the sleep state, you can call it as the state of ignorance, or you can call it as the state of Ananda, if you're a jnani. Sense pleasures don't come from sense objects at all. Now, this is a statement made by Shankaracharya. Sense pleasure is a reflection of Atma Ananda under ideal conditions of the mind. This is the central teaching of the 12 mantras. If you are able to absorb this teaching, experiment with it. In this case, what I would say is, you experiment whether this statement which the Vedanta is saying in your life, apply it and see. Either in your past experiences or in future. So what is the table of this happiness given by Shankaracharya? Number one, avidya. Avidya means I don't know, I am Atma. Because I don't know I am Atma, I have moha, delusion. What is the delusion? How does the delusion express? If I buy this car, I will be happy. If I meet this person, I will be happy. So desires come into my mind, which is kama. When kama, the desire comes into my mind, there are turbulences in my mind. I must receive it. I must go and attain that. I must buy a car. I must buy a car. I must buy a house. So again and again, this turbulence in the mind happens. Or I must meet that person. I must meet my son. I must meet my son. The turbulence causes unhappiness. It causes disturbance in the mind. Sense objects obtained, desire is fulfilled. So when, suppose you go and meet your son or your daughter, your desire has been fulfilled. What happens then? The agitation in your mind comes down. The disturbance comes down. And then what happens? The mind becomes calm, quiet. In a quiet mind, Atma, Ananda gets reflected. This is the flow of happiness, external happiness, which is experienced by all of us. If you understand this process clearly, what will you do? You will say, the first thing I should get rid of is avidya, because that is the cause. What is the cause? Avidya. And how do I get rid of avidya? Avidya means what? I don't know who I am. For that, you come to Taittriya Upanishad. You come to understand what is this Atma. So Shankaracharya says, because of this delusion, I attribute happiness to the objects or persons or circumstances in my life. In Vivek Chudamani, Shankaracharya gives an example of a dog which is biting a bone. The bone has sharp edges. Because of the wound, blood comes out from the bone. The blood comes out from the dog's mouth. What is the dog logic? Anvaya Vatireka. Anvaya means what? Before biting the bone, there was no blood. After biting the bone, there was blood. Therefore, what happens? The dog thinks that its happiness or its the bone is the dog's conclusion is the bone is giving the blood, and the dog keeps on biting its object. What we do is the same. We keep on biting the sense objects more and more, thinking that the sense objects are giving us joy. But the joy when which comes in my mind is not because of the sense object, it is because of my own joy from the art. So in short, what it means is it is pratibimba ananda, which is experienced, and it is not coming from the world. That is the central lesson which we have to understand. In Vedanta Upanishad, how does one get joy is explained, and it says that in between the dream state and the sleep state, the joy which is born is a reflected joy in the causal body. And the jiva sees the waking state and the dream state, and he says there is no joy in both the worlds. Therefore, in the sleep state, he remains for some time. Whenever he dreams, there are impressions that takes away the joy. Whenever he's in the waking state, there are impressions of the world. Again, that takes away the joy of art. So, in the state of sleep, what it says is the man himself becomes the light, means what? He becomes that Atma himself. In the sleep state, every one of us, we merge with that light which is called as Atma. See, we don't know the existence of Atma unless and until you study Upanishads. Only when you study Upanishads and these portions, slowly the mind starts to accept the existence of Atma. See, before study, of course, nobody knows. But once you come to the study of Upanishads, these are the sections which make us more and more deeper and make us go into our intrinsic self. So when human ignorance is dominant, the discriminative power between Atma Ananda and Vishaya Ananda is zero. Suppose you have 100% ignorance, which means you are not at all exposed to the Veda. That time you have 100% ignorance. So when there is ignorance, there will be delusion. Delusion means what? It is a confusion, because what you are seeing is not the truth. What you are actually is the truth. Sense pleasures are experienced in ignorance. But the moment you know it is me, they are pure. That is my real Ananda. And for that, you don't need any condition. Music. We all listen to music. But then, according to Vedanta, according to Shankaracharya, music is not the source of Ananda. What is the source? Atma is the source. When I listen to music, my mind becomes calm and it gets reflected. That is the way Shankaracharya presents this whole thing. This is a revision portion. I will just run through this. In case there is anything new, I will mention. Here, an example is given, sunlight and moonlight. To know what is intrinsic and what is incidental. What is the light of the moon? The light of the moon, is it intrinsic or is it incidental? It is incidental. The light of the sun, is it intrinsic? Yes. So similarly, Ananda is our intrinsic nature, like the light of the sun. Moon example is taken up to show that our mind is like the moon. That Atmananda gets reflected in our minds. And Vishayas outside, Vishaya means what? Objects. They only give a conducive condition for the mind to become stable. What is more important is Viveka. Viveka is discrimination. And what is the discrimination? The basic point is myself is covered. My ignorance means my Atma is covered. And this particular chart is the same which I have presented before. Only addition in this chart here is the delusion which is caused is because of moha or shobhana adhyasa. Shobhana adhyasa means what? I superimpose happiness in an object. If I get this car only, I will be happy. That is what is called as Shobhana Adhyasa. I superimpose happiness on an external object or a person. Suppose you want to get married to a person and you fall in love with a person. What happens every time you think of a person, you will say, I must get this boy or girl. I must meet him. And again, your mind keeps on thinking, I must get it, I must get it. So when the desire gets fulfilled, mind becomes calm, and it is the ananda of the Atma which gets reflected. Three factors contribute to conducive condition of the mind. Some days I feel my mind is very calm. Some days I find my mind is very agitated. Somebody gets up at 3:30 in the morning. Why? What is the reason? Punya karma is the first reason given by Shankaracharya. Because of punyam, we get certain objects, we get money in life. Somebody is extremely rich. Why? Because you don't see the punyam done in this birth. It is some punyam done in the previous birth. Somebody is born rich. So the richness outside contributes to the peaceful condition of my mind. The second factor is vijnanam. Vijnanam means knowledge. That is also, suppose I have the right knowledge, my mind will be calm. Third is contact between sense organs and sense objects. Only when my sense organs are exposed to sense objects, desires start building up. Suppose I have no knowledge, I can get this object in this city, then you will not have the desire. So these are the contributory causes for the pratibimba ananda, which is reflected joy in the mind. Experiential joy is fleeting. Anything can happen in the external world and the joy can be cut off. Suppose the power supply goes off in your house. This happens very often in India. Or some sickness comes to you. Joy from your life is gone. So why does the sickness come? If you ask the question, you can search the entire world, you won't get an answer. Why did I get this sickness? No answer. The only answer which Vedanta says is prarabdha karma. That's all. This will, acceptance of this prarabdha karma, what it will do? It will bring down the agitations and you will go through the sickness with a calm mind. Sense pleasure is an avatara of Brahma Ananda, which is my Swarupam. Okay. There are grades in reflected joy. We have seen this before. Happiness is graded. The first grade is Priya. I am fine. Moda, finer happiness. Because of better quality of mind, medium. Pramoda is the highest. That is the highest ananda which you can experience in the world of external objects. Karma and upasana, they cause gradation in pleasure. Suppose you do karma yoga or upasana yoga, Priya, Moda, Pramoda, the three grades of your mind and your happiness will go higher or lower. So there are differences in jivas, manushyas, manushya gandharva, devas, and sarva devas. These are all four categories of human mind in different lokas. That is what slowly Shankaracharya is introducing, because we are going to see there are 10 grades of happiness which is mentioned in this 8th section. In the next commentary, Shankaracharya says, the decrease or increase of Ananda is due to the ignorance, desire, and action. This is avidya, kama, karma. That is what we have seen in the chart. And also he says, in the higher lokas, the happiness is higher. Why do we have higher happiness? Because we get better body and better mind. The quality of body and mind in higher lokas is the cause of experience of joy. But why do we get this higher lokas? Only because of punya. See here, he says in the end, because of punya karma, you get higher lokas. Delusion decreases in different lokas. As you go higher and higher, your joy increases and your delusion comes down. But what is the Upanishad trying to say? This same thing you can enjoy if you are desireless in this world itself. And you get the knowledge of Atma. Without the sense pleasures, without the sense objects, the joy which you can get in this world by knowing Atma and by becoming desires because of Viveka Shakti. What is the Viveka Shakti? That there are three doshas in all sense objects. Atrupti karatvam, bandhakatvam. Atrupti karatvam means it never gives me fulfilling joy. Bandhakatvam means it keeps me bonded. And the third dosha is it is anityam. It is fleeting. And I get attached to them. Bandhakatva means I get attached to them. Little joy I get, I want more and more, more and more, more and more. So the factors are avidya, kama, karma. And this is what is explained. Same ananda which you can get in higher lokas, you can get by vairagyam of the sense objects. And the logic is, I've already explained to you, the objects don't have any joy in them. It is only reflected in the objects. Okay, so I hope this is clear. These are all some simple examples. I'm not going through each slide, all the lines, but once I have explained to you the basics of these principles, you can go through the notes on your own, and you can slowly appreciate the deeper essence of the analysis of happiness. Any sense pleasure is always mixed. That is another point you should remember. Atrupti karatvam, dukkha mishritatvam. That means any sense pleasure is mixed with dukkha. You get joy, but then when the sense object leaves us or the sense pleasure ends, then dukkham starts. You want more of the same, or you start missing that object. I'm sure all of you can analyze your own mind and check whether there is atrupti, there is dukkha mishritatva, and there is bandhakatva. This is the scientist. This is the job of a subjective scientist. You have to apply what you learn in Vedanta in your own life. When you apply that knowledge, you will transform your mind. Akamahati, that means as your mind gets more and more viveka shakti, discriminative strength, then only you will start withdrawing from the sense objects and seek Atman. See how detailed Shankaracharya goes on and on. You see, there are only mantras. We have not even started the mantra, but these are all the introduction to the science of happiness. Very, very important section. You don't get this anywhere else in any part of the Vedantic study. It is only, this is called as Ananda Mimamsa portion of Vedanta. This is the central place where happiness is discussed is analyzed and discussed and come to a conclusion with principles. There are two methods to attain this Bimba Ananda, this joy of objects. One is you acquire the objects, but it is expensive. You need money, you need to work hard, you need to earn money, and it takes time. The second method to attain this reflected joy is Vairagya. This is the science. This is what Shankaracharya wants to teach us. The joy born out of Vairagya. What is the Vairagya? Vairagya means withdrawal. Withdrawal from the desire to possess sense objects excessively. I will put it excessively because we all need objects, sense objects, we all need them. But what here we are talking about is excessiveness in our pursuits. What we need is tripti. Tripti means fulfillment. So in our life, when we get some amount of joy, earn some amount of money, you say, okay, I am fulfilled. If I get more because of some punyam done, the past is fine. But I am not going to work very sincerely towards earning more and more and more and more money because I know that that is not going to give me happiness finally. What is the means of getting Bimba Ananda? Through Atma Jnanam alone, I can get this original, which is Bimba Ananda. When the subject-object duality is eliminated, we get Bimba Ananda. See how Shankaracharya's analysis is. Now he is telling us, okay, you want this original happiness? What is the expression of this original happiness? The expression of this original happiness is there is no division in your mind between the subject I and the object outside. When this division is not there, I am with my original Atma, the self, which is Bimba Ananda. It comes to us naturally in sleep state. In the sleep state, what happens? Is there a division, subject-object division? Is there a duality? See, this duality and Advaitam, please try to understand very carefully because when you learn Mandukya Upanishad, when you learn the higher Upanishads, what happens is this aspect of duality and non-duality, you should try to appreciate in your own mind. That is an important step for us to understand what is Atma, what is Bimba Ananda of Atma. So when duality is eliminated deliberately in our Vyavahara, it will give me Vairagya. It will give me withdrawal from the objects. How do I get this discrimination? By studying the three doshas of the sense objects. Just now I said atriptikaratvam, bandhakatvam, dukkha mishritatvam. I'm using three Sanskrit terms. These are all given in Kathopanishad. When you do Kathopanishad, Yamadharmaraja tells Nachiketa, the student, that sense objects have got these three dukkhams. And this has become a science for us. We seekers, we learn from this Upanishad the fundamental principles of this universe. How does the universe, how do I deal with the universe? How do I interact with the universe? If I know the principles of this happiness, then my interaction with the world will change. You can also teach this to others. You see, what happens is many people, especially the youth, they think what they think is right. But if you start educating them the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic principle of happiness, slowly they also will appreciate and they will transform the minds. Vishaya means object. Vishayi means the experiencer. I, the ego, which is in this body, in the waking state, experiencing the sense object is called as the experiencer, is called as the ego, is called the ahamkara. So that is the subject. It is a natural thing which happens in our body. Whenever the mind wakes up, it will say, I am the body, I am the mind. So there is a Vishayi and there is a Vishaya. This is what is called as duality. In the sleep state, what happens? Vishayi is absorbed. There is no more Vishayi. There is no more Vishaya. Vishayi, when there is no sense objects in sleep state, because of the tamo guna in our body, in our mind, there is no Vishaya. When there is no Vishaya in front of me, there is no Vishayi, the reflected waker, the I which was calling himself or herself as the waker experiencer is only a relative phenomenon. It is not the absolute. What is the absolute? Absolute is Atma. Where does this ahamkara, the waker, dissolve? Ahamkara, the waker, dissolves in Atma. Where does the dreamer resolve? Dreamer resolves when a person wakes up, he resolves into the waker. Where does the waker resolve? Waker resolves into this Brahman or Atma. This is what we study in Mandukya, which we learn in Sundays. Tomorrow I'll be teaching that. So both are required for sense pleasures. What is required? The subject and object. Because both are required, duality comes. Duality means it is avidya. That means I am totally absorbed in the world of objects. I have forgotten that I am the subject. That is what is the waker. What is the waker? What is the dreamer? Dreamer has totally forgotten the wakerhood. Similarly, the waker is one who has forgotten the Atmahood. I am the Atma is completely forgotten. That is why it is called as avidya. It is called as Mula Avidya. Mula Avidya means ignorance about my absolute nature. I can exist without the body, mind, world, sense objects, anything. In the sleep state, do I have any of the sense objects? No. But do I feel happy in the sense in sleep state? Yes. So sleep state is a proof that I can be happy without any person, without any object, without any situations outside. This comes in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So in Brahman, there is no world, there is no Jiva, there is no Jagat, there is no Ishvara, but Brahman alone is. I see duality now because of Maya Shakti. See that Brahman, which we are trying to define right in the beginning as the higher nature, Brahman means Atma. As the higher nature has got a power. Because of that power, it projects this universe. And then we are all jivas, part of that Shakti, of that pure state. How do I eliminate duality? There are three ways. One is I go to sleep. This is the best thing. But in sleep, I don't have the knowledge. I'm still in ignorance. But there is no duality in sleep. So the one elimination process is go to sleep. The second process of elimination of duality is in samadhi. Those people who are experts in Ashtanga Yoga, they can control the mind, make the mind single pointed. In that single pointed mind, there is no duality. It requires a lot of practice of pranayama to control the breath. Through pranayama, you control your mind. It's possible. Many people have done it. And that is the second method of eliminating duality. The third method is what Vedanta is trying to teach us. Through the process of teaching, which is called as Brahma Jnana, I falsify the duality. What do? In my intellect, I say that whatever I experience is dual, is in duality. I drop in my mind, I close my eyes and say all experience of duality is mithya. Mithya means it is experience, but it is seeming like a dream. It will be there for some time, again it will be gone, again it will come, again it will gone. Why it keeps coming and going is because of Maya Shakti, of that Ishvara. It is Ishvara who is giving us these experiences of the world. The duality in potential condition is there in both sleep and in samadhi. It is there, duality is there, but it is hidden. It is temporarily put to sleep. Again, when you wake up in the morning, the duality will come back. So Advaitam is experienced and it comes back to duality. How to permanently resolve this duality? That is what Shankaracharya is asking in this particular portion. He says, the best way to eliminate duality is not to get rid of it physically, is to only understand duality is just a passing phase. It is as though dual, but it is not really dual. It is a seeming appearance. The best example Shankaracharya gives in Mandukya Upanishad is the dream experience. Dream experience is always Dvaitam, subject object. What Shankaracharya says is even in waking, it is subject object. This duality is exactly like what we experience in our dream state. So after we understand what happens, suppose your intellect is able to accept dream is duality, it is mithya. Waking is duality, it is mithya. For mithya, there has to be an adhisthana. For example, rope snake. Rope snake cannot be experienced unless until there is a rope. Similarly, when I experience this world, there is an adhishtanam called Atma. Jnani does not look at the world because he has got mithyatva darshanam. These are all the finer teachings of Taittriya Upanishad, this section by Shankaracharya. Very, very fine. I'm going into very, very big detail. How I can, see, these are all the transformative knowledge. How I can change my vision of the world. Bimba Ananda is Swabhavika Ananda. Swabhavika Ananda means intrinsically I am happy. My nature. It is the adhishtanam of both the subject and object. It is one and it is without any division. When you understand the description of this Bimba Ananda, I'm sure all of you can, your mind can travel in the direction where you don't experience the subject object duality, and your mind has that experience. It is only trying to recognize that experience of Advaita. The moment you recognize means what? In the sleep state, I was Advaitic, I had an Advaita experience. Even now, I can conclude that I am that same Atma, Bimba Ananda Atma, even when I am experiencing the world. Because why can I accept it right now? What is the logic behind it? The logic is Atma is Paramarthika Satya. It is higher level. Whereas Vyavaharikam is at a lower level. Exactly like the waker and the dreamer. Dreamer is at a lower level. Waker is at a higher level. In the waker itself, I can say the dream world was all false. Because you're woken up. Similarly, I wake up to this Atma and I say, in the Atma, state of Atma, there is no Vishayas and I am always pure consciousness. That pure consciousness happens to be pure Ananda. That pure Ananda is called as, it is called as Bimba Ananda. In the eighth, in the eighth section, the 12th mantra is the most important, which says that Ananda, which I will come to this later on, but I just want to give you a glimpse of this before we start the analysis of the happiness of the different lokas. This is the ultimate thing which Shankaracharya wants to tell us. What is that? This is the Mahavakya of Taittriya Upanishad. The first mantra is also a Mahavakya. Brahmavida apnoti param. That mantra and this mantra. Here, what it says, the core the core of man or women and the core in the sun. That means in the jiva and in the jagat, the core is nothing but this Atma. That is what we are going to study later, but I just wanted to mention that here. So this Bimba Ananda is revealed by Mahavakyam in the 12th mantra, and one can come to realize this by a process of retaining my pure nature and dropping the body-mind complex. Cognitively, I drop this and I hold on to that Atma. Similarly, I hold on to that existence principle outside and drop the experience of the world outside. Pure existence, pure consciousness, I hold on. That is my real self. That is the ultimate Bimba Ananda. Bimba Ananda means intrinsic happiness. Okay? All right. Now, Shankaracharya starts introducing the different grades of Ananda in different lokas, in different worlds. The first thing what he does is he gives here the definition of the basic happiness. What does he say? He says here, suppose there is a young man, he is in this youth, and he leads a dharmic life. He is able to do what has to be done without any conflict or guilt. Now he is introducing what is the measure of happiness. See, normally what happens, a young person is generally restless. But here he is not comparing to that person who is restless. He is not talking of that restless person. Here he is talking about a sadhu, a young sadhu who is doesn't have restlessness in his mind, and he is virtuous. He has studied the scriptures. All these conditions are very important. Okay, so try to understand these. He has studied the scriptures. He's following the life of dharma, and he has the courage, physical and the mental courage, to accomplish what he wants to. He wants to go after Bimbananda. He wants to go after that Atmanam. So he uses all his personal resources, internal wealth, which he possesses, and for Atma Ananda. Okay, so what is the person? What is the unit of the measure of what is the unit of measure of Ananda here? That person who is pursuing Atma Ananda, who is young, and all this, whatever I have said, who is dharmic, who is strong, who is courageous. So he has got perfect health. He is virtuous. He's got a lot of values in life. He doesn't have any uh, adharmic actions in life. Now, what will be his source of sukham? Dharma. So dharma will be the source of sukham, and adharma is the source of sorrow. So in the case of a normal youth, what will happen? He will not have the virtues. He will always be sorrowful. But here we are not talking of a normal youth. Here we are talking of a ideal person who has got the sensory restraint. That is very, very important. Why does he have? Because of discrimination. He has got the strength of following dharma. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, it says, Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavante to nasuyantaha muchyante tepi karmabhihi. This those who practice the teaching of mind with full faith. That's what Krishna says in the 3rd chapter. So here the Upanishad is referring to such a person. What will happen to those who practice this? They are not deluded at all. They are devoid of any, they are not deluded. So Lord Krishna, in the next verse, he compares the person who doesn't follow this. So in Bhagavad Gita, they compare a person, a yogi or a jnani, and a ajnani. So ajnani is one who is deluded, who is not practicing karma yoga, upasana yoga, and all that. Because of that, he doesn't have any discrimination between good and bad, dharma and adharma. So ajnani is doomed to destruction. These are 2 verses of Bhagavad Gita, which is relevant to understand this portion of the Upanishad. So, Dridha Tamaha, this person who is now taken up, he is got firm conviction that Atma will give me happiness, and he is following dharma in his life. So we can think about this person. And the next condition the Upanishad says is he is an emperor of earth. See, not only you have good health, you have a youthful body, but you also have money. Suppose you have money and don't have health, there is no use because you can't enjoy that money. Suppose you have health and good health and youth, but you don't have money, again, it is no use because you can't enjoy that. Here, the Upanishad is trying to give an ideal person who is the emperor of the earth. That means he can buy anything in the universe. It is this grade, this is the grade, is a measure, is a starting point for the analysis of Anand. Now, this is a revision portion. I won't cover this. I have already discussed all this. In the next section, so this is the portion which is that where we are discussing about the person who is ideal person, human being. He owns the entire earth. That means he has whatever he wants, he can get. And because of this, he can do any amount of Vedic rituals. And because he can do Vedic rituals, that will give him punyam. See, this is all description of an ideal person who can have ananda while living. And these are all the description of the person who is who the Upanishad is trying to describe as a measure for ananda. You see, all this is a description for one unit of the enjoyment which that person who has got all this. He has got the ideal body. He has got the ideal health. He has got the richness. He can do the rituals. He can get the punyam done. After doing all that, what will he get? He will get experiential happiness. That experiential happiness is one unit of ananda. That is the starting point. Then he will say that you multiply this by 100 in each loka. So there are 10 levels of ananda which are described here, and 10 levels of ananda in 10 lokas. So keep on multiplying the happiness of this ideal person's happiness and keep on going from loka to loka to loka, higher loka to higher loka, and then you will reach the highest loka, which is the Brahma loka, and you will get the person who has immense happiness because of a perfect body, perfect mind, perfect sense objects. These are all what you can get in a loka. These are the 10 lokas. I've given you the names of the lokas. When you study the mantras from mantra number 2 onwards, you will get the in the actual from 2 to 11, you will get all these lokas. Manushya loka is this, what is the ananda of a happiness of a person in this earth with such a body and with an ideal uh, circumstances of doing punyam, doing rituals, and getting happiness. Then you go to Manushya Gandharva Devananda, Deva Gandharva Ananda, Pitru Loka Ananda, Ajana Jana Loka Ananda, Karma Devanam Ananda. See, these are all different devatas. In different lokas, as you become a higher and a higher devata, you can get experiential pleasure more and more. The last one is called as Hiranyagarbha Brahma Anand. Okay, so this is the starting of the introduction portion of Shankaracharya for this section of the 8th section. See how beautifully he describes right in the beginning whatever the Upanishad is going to describe in the 12 mantras. You see, this is the style of Shankaracharya. All this, if you study this one, the entire 12 portions, 12 sections is described beautifully in this one section. So all this 100 Manushya is equal to 1 Manushya Gandharva Anand. See, what is the first level? Manushya. Manushya means a citizen of this universe. Multiply that by 100. The happiness. That will become what? Manushya Gandharva Anand. That is higher Ananda. From Bhuloka, one goes to this Manushya Gandharva Loka. Or one can go to the Deva Lokas. You see, there are two. You can be born in this Manushya or you can be born among the celestials. So in the celestials, the first level is this Manushya Gandharva Nanda. Okay. And then you have different devatas. So so the Gandharvas can appear in any place at will and disappear. They have extraordinary powers. Their sthula and sukshma sharirams are very tough and they are finer. See, these are all the descriptions of Gandharvas. Gandharva means higher loka. They have a higher order of Viveka Shakti, and they experience more tranquility, more happiness. Anandamaya Kosha in sleep extended to Jagrat also because of the excellence of mental tranquility. See, we also experience Ananda in our sleep. The same type of Ananda you multiply 100. Can you imagine what a quality it will be? So that is what is in the first Gandharva Loka Ananda. Okay. So in the higher lokas, the afflictions are not there. Afflictions means there is no atmospherical changes like hot and cold. That's what Shankaracharya is explaining. You see, he is going into the depth of understanding what is the higher loka. He says in the higher loka, they have the power and their resources, higher power, to set up their own atmosphere of their liking. What they want, they can set it up. I mean, these are all things which you can know only from the Veda. So gradation must be seen because of why do we see gradations in different lokas? The reason Shankaracharya says is it is because of karma and upasana. Suppose there are some, you see, in today's world, you don't find people doing upasana a lot. Because the world has changed. But in the olden times, there were people who were more involved in rituals and more involved in meditations. They got that punya and they went into higher lokas. And this is the description during Shankaracharya's time when people were after these type of lokas. Okay. Gradation in devatas is also there. And why do they have gradation? Only because of punya karma. For example, Vayu Devata, Agni Devata, Surya Devata, Indra Devata, they all have different gradations because, again, they all have got a mind. Superior, sharper, subtler quality of mind. Something is very clean, something is with dust, something is medium dust, something with small dust. So the Pratibimba Ananda of the Devatas, that means the reflection of the Atma Ananda in the higher lokas will be higher. Okay, so in this section, the main thing you should understand is I can get all this ananda by studying Atma in this loka here itself and by leading a good life and dropping my desires to a certain extent. Shrotriya kama hatasya, that is the one which I should be after, not with reference to all what I can get in other lokas. Okay. So first level was human Gandharvas. That is mentioned in the second mantra. Here, the third mantra, there are 12 mantras. In the third mantra, he talks of the next level. What is the next level? It is celestial Gandharvas. Human Gandharvas means people like who are highly, like for example, artists, painters. You see, their level of happiness is far higher because they have a subtle happiness, subtler source of happiness. The their minds are far more, much more subtler than people who are not with normal minds. So Upanishad talks about Gandharvas, human Gandharvas, and then there is a higher one. The same artists, musicians, and all, not only in this loka, but also they are in the heaven. Those people who have reached the heaven and they are also Gandharvas there, they are called as Deva Gandharva, and the Ananda experienced by them is called as Deva Gandharva Anand. So the celestial Gandharvas, what is their happiness level? 100 times those of the Gandharvas in the Manushya Loka. That is what is said in the third month. In the third mantra, like this, in every mantra, the 10 lokas are taken, and every time the Upanishad says 100 times this is this, 100 times this is this. But then what happens? He says that Jnani who has withdrawn from the world, he enjoys the same ananda which he can get in all these lokas. That is the essence behind all these 12 mantras. The one who listens to the Upanishads and the one who withdraws from the world while living here, his pleasure, his happiness is equal to the man who goes to all those lokas for enjoyment. Okay. So Shankaracharya, you see, you can go through these sections, you can understand the same essence which I am telling you, that a Shrotriyam, you see, that's what he's saying. A Shrotriyam means a person who's listening to the Veda. What are the two qualifications? Shrotriyam and Akamahatasya. Akamahatasya means what? Reduction in desires. Why reduction desires? Because you have known the dosha of the sense objects. And you have a clear understanding of Atma. Atma will give me the ultimate happiness. Greater contentment is there in Loka, greater Ananda is also there, but the ultimate contentment is in withdrawal, in elimination of your desires. Also, desires can be dropped when you know Mithyatmam of the world. Mithyatvam means what? This whole thing is a fleeting thing. I will see, for example, even if you hold a house or anything, only for a certain amount of time. Again, you are born into another body. So that knowledge gives you the vairagya. So here, that is the main thing which is stressed here is vairagyam and shrotriya. Okay, all these sections are all talking of the same. I've told you what it means. that you in each loka the the body becomes more subtle, the mind becomes more subtle, and you get better reflection of ananda only. Okay, and the names of all these lokas I have given it to you, and once you understand the basic principle behind bimba ananda uh, and pratibimba ananda, reflected joy and original joy. Then you go to the different lokas, Manusha Loka, Manusha Gandharva Loka, Deva Gandharva Loka. All these lokas are mentioned in each verse, and the joy increases, but ultimately, Taittiriya Upanishad says that sadhu, a student of Veda, a punyavan who does dharma, his ananda is uncomparable. You cannot compare it with any of the Vishaya Sukhas. Vairagyam is a powerful qualification for experiential pleasure. That is the teaching of this section. Normally, a person is slave to his desires. He gets attached to his desires. But how do I get to withdraw from the desires? Bhagavad Gita is the best teacher. Indriyasya indrasyate ragadvesho vivastitao tayorna vashamagachet tauhasya paripanthinao. Very beautifully, the entire psychology behind action and happiness is explained in this Bhagavad Gita verse. What does it say? Attachment and aversion for the objects, where do they reside? Attachment to the objects resides where? In your body. Where does it reside? Detachment or aversion. I don't. Raga and dvesha. Attachment, this thing means it's raga and dvesha. They rest not in the mind, they rest in the senses, in our indriyas. But how do I try to get away? Learn to say, I am different than the sense organs. Sense organs, the eyes have the attachment towards pleasure of form and color. Ears have got attachment towards the sound. But I am the Atma. I am someone different than the sense organs. Sense organs will go towards the sense objects, but I am never affected by the vyavahara which happens in the universe. That is the jnani. This one verse, Krishna says, Tayorna vashamagache. Tayorna vashamagache means don't get caught by this, by the sense objects and the sense organs. Don't get caught. Just become aware. Even becoming aware, I am someone different than the sense organs. It is the sense organs which is attached to the sense objects. That is the vyavahara which is happening. It is happening because of the law of universe. The law of universe is prarabdha karma. I cannot change that. Nobody has the right, nobody can change that. Throughout your life, after your study of Upanishads also, you will go through these levels of ananda. Up and down will be there in your life because it is the law of the sense organs interacting with the sense objects. But I am the Atma. Upanishad teaches me Atma's nature is what? Pure consciousness, in which there is no universe, in which there is no objects, no sense organs, no mind, no body, nothing. I alone am. Ekam eva advitiyam Brahma. If that knowledge is clear, and if this knowledge about the world is clear, you are a Shrotriya Brahma Nishta. You are the one which is described in this Taittriya Upanishad as the ideal person. It is not the person in different lokas. Chira loka. Chira loka means Pitru loka. See, there are different lokas. My notes has got different lokas. Pitru loka is there, the next one. Pitru loka means Chira loka. See, after a person dies, sometimes the person remains in another world. That is what is called as Pitru loka. We do all the rituals, the 10-day rituals which you do when a person passes is because we believe that a person, the soul which has left this earth, is there somewhere, not in the heavens, but somewhere between the heaven and the earth, that is called as Pitrulok. For the Pitrus, we give certain oblations to make them happy. That oblations which we give is the food for them. They can last one full year because of the oblations we do every year for them. Now, Pitralokas, those people, the Pitrus, they also have a body, a subtle body. They enjoy. They also have enjoyment subtler than our enjoyments. So that is one of the lokas which is mentioned in this Taittiriya Upanishad. Chiraloka. Chiraloka means what? Chiraloka means it is longer than our normal life here. Longer and better quality body, better quality of enjoy. Then the other loka is Deva Loka, Ajana Loka, and Deva Lokas. They are a person is born into the Deva Loka because of the rituals which one does. You and I can be born in the heavenly lokas because of karma. Agnihotra, Sandhya Vandanam, they will give Swargaloka. Panchayatana Puja, Ramanami festivals, enjoy, all those pujas you do, those are all called as Smartha Karmas. So we have finished 4 levels, the 4, levels of happiness. Next week, we'll continue with the 5th level. I will start from this 953, slide number 953. I have already given you the essence behind this whole section of happiness. This is called as the Mimamsa portion, analysis of Ananda. Okay. Next week, we'll probably finish this section. We will do another 3-4 sessions for the 9th Anuvaka, 9th section. In about 3 to 4 sections, we'll finish the 2nd chapter. Okay. We'll finish the 2nd chapter, which is the main chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad. With this, I close today's session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. I'll go through the chats and then we'll open up for discussions. Kindly explain the dog bone example, Vivek, today once more. Okay, I'll explain that to you. See, this example is given in Vivek Chudamani. See, a dog, it finds a bone outside on the road. Okay, it's a little tricky example, but it's a example which Shankaracharya gives. It is example. Don't go too much in detail. It's an example to prove that we are all like the dogs trying to search for happiness outside instead of knowing that happiness is my swarupa. That the teaching you should remember. What does the example say? See, a dog, it doesn't know. It just goes outside and starts biting a bone. It finds a bone. It wants some happiness. It is in search of some food. So it goes in search of some food. Instead of food, it finds a bone. When it finds a bone, it starts biting the bone as if it is a food. It is something which it will give joy to it. So initially the dog starts enjoying biting the bone. After some time, what happens is the blood comes out from its own body outside, and when the blood comes out, the dog feels that because of the biting of the bone, I am enjoying I am enjoying, but it doesn't know that the joy which is coming out is because the blood is coming out, it is tasting its own blood. So when it doesn't know that the joy is not from the bone, suppose the dog comes to know what is the logic. Logic of the dog logic is what? I am biting the bone, I am getting sukham in this world. But while biting, what happens? Blood comes out. Similarly, when we are going into the world, what happens? We keep on biting the world. We keep on searching for happiness in the world. Our sense about what did I say in this end? What did I say? Sense organs have got the attachment for the sense pleasure. I don't know that Atma is there inside this, which is giving me the happiness. Like the dog didn't know that the happiness which it was getting it is its own the blood which came out from the dog's mouth. He didn't know that. It thought that it was the bone which was giving it the joy. Similarly, we think that the sense objects are giving us the joy outside, and we should not use the dog logic. We should use discrimination. Discrimination means what? I must know that any happiness is born out of me alone. Any happiness is my happiness. Okay. What happens when the children around, when I have money, when I have children, when I have house, when I have riches, what happens? What Vedanta says is those are all punya, the punyam which is coming in the form of outside external objects giving me joy. Objects are due to punyam, but the joy is not the objective joy, it is the joy of Atma getting reflected. Okay. I see my own ananda, my own happiness outside because of some punya karma. That's all. Okay. Vibhuti, do you have anything in this regard before I proceed? Okay. He said it's okay. He has understood. Thank you. Now, the next question is about Manikandan. In deep sleep, we have Pratibimba Ananda since there is no object in deep sleep. How the Ananda is reflected? Is it reflected in causal body? Good question. Yes, it is the Ananda which is reflected in the causal body. All of us, very important to note this point. This comes in Mandukya Upanishad. Whenever we are in the waking state, it is the physical body. Whenever we are in the dream state, it is the subtle body. Whenever we are in the deep sleep state, it is the causal. This you should be very clear. Okay. No time you should have this confusion, because this comes in Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad is very clear. All our experiences of sleep is with the causal body. It is not with the mind. It is not with this physical body. It is with the causal body. Causal body is extremely fine, very, very like a mirror. See, a mirror is also a material, but it is very fine in nature. It can reflect my face. So similarly, the causal body, all of our causal bodies, it is so beautifully constructed by the Lord through the Maya Shakti that it can reflect my Swarupa. Now you are asking how the Ananda is reflected. Is it reflected in the, okay, Ananda, okay, the second part, the last question I have answered. Ananda is reflected in the causal body. That causal body has got this problem. What is the problem? It doesn't know itself. That is the Avarana Shakti. It doesn't know it is covered Atma. Actually, what is the causal body? Causal body is nothing but Atma. Behind the causal body, there is Atma. For example, what is the dreamer? Dreamer's body is nothing but the waker. Similarly, in our we don't know this knowledge, and that is what Vedanta is trying to clear. Our study of Vedanta is to remove the veiling caused by Maya Shakti. And you have to say, I am not the causal body. Where, what is the definition of causal body? Definition of causal body is given in the Mandukya Upanishad 6th mantra. 5th and the 6th mantra are the definitions of Mandukya Upanishad of causal body. Causal body is where there is no subject, object, instrument division. There is no division at all. I still exist. But right now, for example, what is it? I exist now, yes, but I have a body I see. I see the world outside. I experience my mind. I experience emotions. All this is what it covers my nature of pure consciousness. So the analysis of deep sleep state in your own mind, when you do it, you will know the difference between Dvaitam and Advaitam. Each one of us have to do this. You have to just try to close your eyes and say, even in sleep, I exist. Even in waking, I exist. Even in dream, I exist. In what form that I exist is what you should ask the question. That is the answer you will get. I am formless nature. In sleep, all of us, we can accept it. Yes, I am formless. What Vedanta says is this entire three levels of existence of physical body, subtle body, and causal body, these three levels are lower nature. They are mithya. Mithya means they appear and disappear. Appear and disappear. I mean, see, once you have positioned yourself as the causal body, and then you look at waking and dream, what will you say? Waking also comes and goes, dream also comes and goes, but I am always Advaitam, if I am the causal body. Now Veda says, go one step further. Drop this causal body also. That is where Mandukya shines. In the 7th mantra, Mandukya Upanishad, the Upanishad says, drop the causal body also. You have come up to causal body, fantastic, very good. Your intellect has become very sharp. You have dropped the waking state. You have dropped the dream state. Both are Dvaitam. What Shankaracharya explains in this thing is, Just focus on the Dvaitam aspect. Dream is also Dvaitam, waking is also Dvaitam. Just reject Dvaitam is Mithya. Mithya means what? It will be there. It will be experienced. So none of your waking experience will go away. But you will, in your own mind, you will reach a higher level of understanding. I am Atma. That is what you drop the causal body and where do you reach then? Shankaracharya's brilliance comes in the description of the seventh mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. And he says that you reach a situation that you are neither the Karanam, which is the causal body for the waking and dream, you are neither the Karyam. See, Karanam is the sleep state. Karyam means it is a product of the sleep state, which is waking and dream. He says, all this you drop, you are Karana Karya Vilakshana Turiya Atma. Okay. So Manikandan, I've taken you away from your question. I've given you a little bit glimpse of Mandukya just to explain to you. It was nice question, so I just thought this will help you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah,
Shivaji, can you listen?
Amyanshu is saying if I have complete Vairagyam and if I don't have good health or wealth, I can be in Anandam, which can be more than Manusha. Okay. Yeah. If you have Vairagyam and you don't have good health or wealth, there is a possibility that you can enjoy the Ananda. You're right. You see, this Vairagyam will tell you that I don't, because what you are looking at is Atman.
Yes.
Your good health or good wealth outside does not matter. Vairagyam itself will give you Atmananda. That is what is called as the happiness of the. So you are right. You don't need outside richness. But the problem is that bad health will create some obstacle in experience of this art. That is because of your punya papa karma, which is the law of the nature, which decides the health of the body. What Upanishad says is, if you have perfect health, if you have perfect external situations, and you have vairagyam, then your happiness is the highest. Through vairagyam, you can still experience that Atmananda, but it will not be the highest. There will be some gradation in that. So, Amyanshu, are you clear?
Yes, you have, in fact, to Mr. Manikandan's question, you have explained quite clearly.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
correct. Okay.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has any other remark? Shanta, you had some question?
Yeah, I think there is another question, sir, which says in deep sleep, Manikandan J has put up, in deep
Yeah.
sleep, we have Pratibimba Ananda. Since there is no object in deep sleep, how the
Yeah.
Ananda is reflected? Is it reflected in causal body? Is the
Yes,
question?
it is reflected in causal body. Without any objects, you can experience the lesson from sleep state is I don't need to have objects with me to experience Ananda. That is the lesson I should draw from the sleep state where I still have experience of joy, but without any objects. But that is due to the a reflection in the causal. But that reflection in the causal body, Ananda, is a very mild Ananda compared to the Atman. Because it is a reflection. See, suppose you see a reflected face in a mirror which is dirty. So the reflection will not be perfect. So our sleep state is with tamoguna. In tamoguna, the mirror becomes very dull. Whereas in sattva guna, because of our knowledge from the Upanishad, once you have the knowledge, what happens? Your sattvic mind quality improves 100-fold. Therefore, you are able to enjoy that nature of Ananda. Even during our study of Upanishads, what happens is, as you study more and more, your mind becomes more and more sattvic. And you feel that I'm understanding more, I'm getting more clarity about my nature. Okay, it may not be 100%, but something is happening. It is giving me more and more clarity. So that is what we should be after. And uh, am I clear, Shanta?
Sorry, sir. This question was asked by Manikandanji, not myself.
Yeah, correct.
I was just reading down.
Yeah. Okay. So
Manikandanji, are you okay?
Manikandan, are you there now, or you? I can't. Yeah, I think he's not here. Okay.
Okay.
Bharat, you have a question?
Hello,
Yeah,
Shakiji. Can you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah. Go ahead, yeah, Bharat.
I just wanted to clarify something. Punya and Papam is belongs to the body, the mind, but Ananda is always Atmas. Is
Correct.
that right? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
yeah. You're right. Punya Papam actually belongs to the causal body. It belongs to
Yes,
it is the causal body, which is not the subtle body, which is the mind. It is not the
yes,
physical body, which is the gross body. So it is the third body, which is invisible. You cannot see it. Nobody can see the causal body. It is there.
I understand. I understand.
Very, very,
Fantastic. Thank you.
very minute, very, very subtle. So that is why even when I said that, when in some commentaries, they say that immediately after the body dies, it gets another physical body, but it is very subtle. You can't see it. It is there, but it is like that causal body. It's invisible. Okay.
Understood.
So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, Bharat. Thank you. Shanta,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I will ask my question now. It was related to this lokas and this punyam and papams. Now, when you have done or lived a dharmic life, or with all the say good deeds, uh, you get punyam, and then you go to a higher loka. I mean, that's the escalation, right?
Yeah,
But then um, this punyam is like the money in the bank. When it finishes, you have to come back to bhuloka.
correct. You're right.
So, is it um, now when I look at it from the moksha point of view, say for example, I have done punya in this birth. I might not be good enough to get moksha, but I'm good enough to go to a next loka. But will that not give me, just like in this birth, because I probably have done some punyam in my last birth, I have come to this Vedanta study. So when I go to the higher loka, is because of because of the punyas I have done in the bhuloka, I have gone to the higher loka. Will that not give me the credit to go one step further to get moksha? Or moksha can only be achieved in bhuloka?
No, moksha will come only by the knowledge of Veda. That
Mhm.
you must be very clear. But whether you get a teacher in Brahmaloka or in other lokas, that depends on your punya. Even this loka, if you get a teacher who can explain to you, uh, yeah, if for example, you have the punyam in this life, then what happens is you can get moksha right now here. So you need not wait. Moksha depends on purely the knowledge that I am this Atma, I am pure consciousness. This moksha depends on two things. Number one, it depends on I am the Atma, that is Brahma Satya. Then the second thing which you should know about for moksha is Jagan Mithya. Jagan Mithya means what? Body, mind experience is an appearance. It is not real compared to my pure nature.
Yeah. So
My
no, that
pure nature is real. But
yeah.
this knowledge is what gives you moksha. You can get that in any loka. You ultimately they say that in bhuloka it is the easiest to get this knowledge.
Oh,
In other
okay.
lokas, they are the other lokas are mainly designed to give you more joy. It is a
Okay.
bhokta. You are more of a bhokta than a pramata. You are a bhokta means all the other lokas are purely for enjoyment purposes, not for getting knowledge.
Mhm. So yeah, that is what I was thinking, that if my different births have given me, enough punyam to come to Vedanta and learn it, and maybe, I cannot be, or whatever reason, say for example, I don't get the Jivan Mukta in this Janma, then because of all the punyas I've done, I might go to a higher loka. But then will this punyas will, or this study, why shouldn't it continue in my next, loka birth to give me the moksha, rather than making me a bhokta there?
Yeah, no. That is the design of the Lord of different lokas. I know we don't have a say in that. In the Puranas, generally it is said that higher lokas means sense pleasures go up. Ultimately, that loka finishes as soon as your punyam is
Punyas are.
over. You come back to bhuloka again start building up either knowledge or you start accumulating sanchita. You know.
So in that case, is it not fair to say that once you come towards Vedanta knowledge, um, then you should not do enough punyam, so because the fear of getting to Swargaloka, for example.
Correct. Yes, you are right. Shankaracharya clearly says that in Mandukya Bhashyam. He says, the moment you have come to the doorstep of Vedanta, you can forget your rituals, you can forget your other karmas, purely focus on knowledge aspect and get yourself free. No need to go into other lokas because that is not your goal.
Mm,
People do all those things without knowledge. The moment you
what?
have a guru who explains to
Mm,
you what are the lokas meant for,
mm.
what is your goal, how you should get your goal fulfilled, if you know this clarity, you are very, very, you have the punyam to start the jnana yoga.
Jnana. So now, in that case, why I find this, so from the time I've started to be on this spiritual journey, I think for example, my interest to go to the temple, to do the prayers, to do offerings, whether, or annadanam, all these things have actually increased rather than decreasing, because I should have not been going on this path of doing all this danam and all, and collecting the punyas, because then the chances I might just go to
No,
the
no, no, no. Don't go into that. The way you should try to try to explain it is your prarabdha is there to finish this off.
okay,
Can't change. Prarabdha
okay,
nobody can change. It is there. It is there in your karma of this body and mind. You're born to do this dhanam, you will do it. So
okay,
when you experience such things in life,
mhm,
the way you should say is, it is my karma, I am doing it. It
okay,
is my karma means what? It is written. It is the
written, yeah.
law of this body. It is the law of this body and this world. That's all.
Mm, mm,
Why do I get this knowledge? Because I have got into Vedanta. I can come out of this and I can come out of this understanding that
Mm.
whatever I'm experiencing is an appearance. You see, you should always come back to Vedantic knowledge and say, appearances I cannot change
Mm.
because it is the law of karma which gives me the appearances.
Mm.
I am a sakshi to all my experiences is the ultimate knowledge.
Mm. So should I consider myself lucky that I wasn't doing all these punyas, thinking, of in the past, but I've only started getting into this, going to temple and getting connected to, all these services and
See,
um,
it is that
do,
punya which has brought you to this knowledge. Consider it like that. It is
okay,
of those punyam only I
the
have come
previous
into
birth,
this
yeah,
knowledge.
to this
Yes,
knowledge, yeah.
to this
But
knowledge.
now, yeah, but with this knowledge, now what I'm doing, whichever punya, say, for example, if, say offering annadana is a punya, but I can now very critically say that this is my prarabdha karma and I'm not collecting any
Correct. That's
agami
correct.
punya.
That is right. That is the knowledge. The knowledge will now teach you how to look at the world. That's it.
Mm. Okay, thank
Your
you.
vision of the world will change. Your vision about your body's actions will change. Your vision about who you are will change.
Mm.
The vision will change, but you cannot change
It's
whatever
external.
you are
Yeah.
experiencing.
Okay. Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. They are very deep questions. I'm glad most of you are able to think in these directions. So we will complete chapter 2 in about another 3-4 sessions. There are a few mantras left, and then we will see whether we take Kathopanishad or we can continue with chapter 3. Okay. So,
Secretary,
yes, Venkatesh.
I just had one clarification to ask.
Yeah.
These different lokas that we are discussing here, are they more like a concept, different states of mind, rather than you getting born into different lokas, depending upon the maturity of the jiva in reaching that Vedantic realization?
Yeah, actually, this lokas is nothing
And
uh, but the mind with superior powers. That's all. So you should not be, what Shankaracharya says in the end is very clear. Don't try to go after lokas and things like that. Drop it. Know what is the essence of this chapter. This 8th section essence is learn Vedanta, understand I am Atma, and be free from any attachment to any loka. You don't even want to be in this bhuloka also. Forget about higher lokas. What will happen once you get clarity in the knowledge? What will happen is you will realize that it is the law of karma which is acting. I am not acting. I am always free from the body and mind. Ultimate teaching which Vedanta gives all of us. You see, this is where Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam will help. And the right knowledge is important. See, even in Upanishads, there are grades of lessons. Taittiriya Upanishad is one grade slightly lower than the Mandukya Upanishad. Slightly. You can go through the Taittiriya Upanishad, understand Taittiriya Upanishad, and you will be able to get some aspects about Atma clearly. But Mandukya Upanishad is so beautiful in terms of its presentation, in terms of its analysis. The essence, again, I'm taking lessons from Mandukya. I'm trying to tell you is the ultimate lesson is what? I am ever free. This I stands not for the body, it doesn't stand for the mind. Body and mind can never be free. It is always attached to the world. It is always in relation to the world only, talking about body. World is what? These Panchabhutas, world of matter. But what happens is, when I say I am free and I refer to the I as pure consciousness, without the body, without the mind. You see, this is the Mahavakya which you should, conclusion which you should have arrived in your Shravanam. In your Shravanam, the ultimate thing is there is a substratum, there is something common between the body and the world. That commonness is called as consciousness. That commonness is called as existence. I'm only using whatever the words Upanishad uses, so that is the only way we can reach that point, because these are the words. So what it says is the commonness between the three states, the commonness between the five koshas for all of us. You see, your Panchakosha, my Panchakosha has got certain laws under which it goes through. You live for 50 years, you live for 100 years, somebody else lives for 60 years, somebody lives for 30 years. These are all the laws of nature. So your question is, okay, the Puranas, see, how do we get to this knowledge about different lokas? Through Veda. See, Veda Purva deals with lokas and actions required to reach those lokas. Veda Purva Bhaga. Veda Purva is the voluminous portion where all the rituals are discussed. There are, see, why are these required? What Veda says is there are certain minds which require maturity in order to have maturity about this world, they require certain experiences. For Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, it requires a field. That provision of the field is the 10 lokas. Some people, they require the field in a particular loka to get maturity and say, what is the maturity? The maturity is what? Loka objects do not give joy. What I am running after is really wrong. I really have to, you see, this doesn't come so easily. It takes time. So, your focus has to be purify your mind. Purification of mind can happen through systematic study of the Upanishads. We are doing this analysis because it is a part of the Taittriya Upanishad, but don't focus too much on these lokas. Just take the essence, the lesson from what we have to learn from Taittriya Upanishad and proceed in your study. Am I clear, Venkatesh?
Yeah, it's fine. Because accept it as just being there, but focus is not the lokas.
Yes, absolutely. You got the gist of it. Good. Anybody else has anything else? Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
Lalita.
Lalita here. Even if we do good karmas,
Yeah,
if we say Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu, they say the results don't affect us,
yes.
don't cling to us. Is it true?
Yes, it is true. Bhagavad Gita says that very clearly
Yes.
at the end of 18th chapter, that ultimately when you do a ritual, you say that this ritual I have done, but whatever is the purification required for my Chitta Shuddhi, that is what I am looking for. That is whatever I may have committed some mistakes in my rituals also. So I try to ask the forgiveness for those mistakes which I have committed, and ultimately what I ask is Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi means what? My mind should become more and more pure. See, it's like the mind is like a pot of water which is dirty. Now you're trying to remove the dirt from that pot of water. Now, how to remove the dirt? The method which Atma Bodha says, you take the pot and you put one in Atma Bodha, this comes up. You put a seed which will absorb all the material, and it will dissolve. It will dissolve and go to the bottom of the water. There is a seed which is available. So similarly, what we have to do is the seed to clear the mind of impurities, of delusions, is the study. The study gives me the clarity. The more I study, the more I understand this nature of the mind, nature of the world. So, what Lalita you're saying is absolutely right. Ultimately, rituals have a benefit up to a certain point, but benefit of rituals you should understand is Chitta Shuddhi. You can ask for worldly benefits also, that also will come to you. See, prayers have got benefits. What the Lord says is, whatever you ask, I will give you. You have the faith that I am the ultimate provider of Sukha Dukham in this universe.
And if we say Brahmarpanamastu, then it will not bind us.
Correct. You see, you are Brahma Arpanam means what? Whatever ritual I have done, I am offering it to you, Brahman. You decide what is best for me. Let God see, God is all pervading. He knows all our minds. He knows what we need. So sometimes when we do some rituals out of faith, what we do, sometimes people don't know what they want. Because 99% we don't even know what we want. We think that we want a better quality of life with, but those are all at a very junior level. After some time, after 40 years old, you say that, okay, fine, I have seen the world. Okay, even if I have money, but if I have no health, what is the use? So this world in which we live is a very complex world. In this complexity, Veda gives us clarity. What is the Veda telling me? Go through these experiences, but don't take them too seriously. Don't analyze the world too much. Analyze your own nature. That is what is Veda. Because analyzing the world and experience is a never-ending job. You can never come to any conclusion because that is Maya Shakti. In Maya Shakti, it is a magician's world. Anything will happen at any time. You see, you ask anybody, tomorrow what you're going to experience, nobody knows. Nobody. That is what is Maya Shakti. And that is what keeps the life so fragile. But in this fragility, there is some strength. What is the strength? I am always there. I am eternal. So, Veda teaches me to understand my nature as pure self, pure consciousness. That is why this 10 lokas, 14 lokas, all that, drop it. Learn it and drop it. It is just a teaching. Good, Lalita. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Very good. Anybody else? These are excellent lessons in psychology. There are a few people attending here who are doctors in psychology. You will see that difference between Veda, how it treats the human experiences, and how modern science treats it. Okay. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Good night. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you, Shekhar ji.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.